Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the show. It is great to have the audience join me tonight. I was going to let you guys know right from the beginning. We were supposed to have a guest tonight, and I was unable to make contact with them today. So I assumed, with it being Mother's Day, they ended up getting additional other plans and decided not to do the show. They did not reach back out. So that's the way that cookie crumbles. So we're not going to do a long show tonight. I just really come on tonight to we'll talk a little bit about a few things, just to let you guys know that the candidate was a no show, and that happens sometimes, right? Especially when we do these live shows. But we'll talk about what's coming up over the next week. We actually have that we're going to be doing between now and the day before election. Tomorrow night, we have Brett Malden, who is running for House District 114, which covers parts of Newton, Monroe, Walton, and counties. So, that'll be that House seat. Um, it'll be good to have Brett on the show. I helped Brett on a campaign a few years ago when he ran for state senate. I think Brett's campaign this year is looking really well. And, one of the reasons, Brett on the show, he represents a district that actually circles Rockdale County. He borders Rockdale County, from Newton, Walton, uh, so it is, uh, our neighbor, and he will be running for the seat that's currently held by Tim Fleming, who is running for Secretary of State from Newton County. So that's what we're doing with that. So Brett will be on, and we'll have Everton Blair on uh, Wednesday. Everton is running for Congress in the 13th district. Then next Sunday, we will have Justin Kinney doing a repeat show. And the following Monday, the day before election, we will have Clarence Cuthbert running for a Superior Court judge. We'll have two judge candidates doing repeat appearances on the show. So I think that'll be good for us to get one last look at those important candidates and important races. Like I said, 4 shows between now and the day before election. So did not hurt my feelings either that the candidate was a no show tonight. Give me a little break from doing the interviewing, and the fact that we do have 4 shows coming up in the next few days. So there we go. So I just want to talk to you guys about a few things tonight. So last night, yesterday evening, went to Old Town. The city of Conyer is doing their concert series, and went to the concert series last night. A country band named Nashville Nation was there. A very good band. It was a nice concert. I think everybody there really enjoyed themselves. We took our granddaughter Janiyah with us, and she danced all night long. She had a fantastic time at the concert, and I had a great time just watching her have fun. So for me, it was a great time just watching Janiyah have such a good time. But I think they were a good band. I really enjoyed them, and I think June 3rd, they said they have an Uptown Funk, and I'll definitely be there June 13th because that's my birthday. So I'll be celebrating my birthday in Old Town at the concert series. Yep, that's what I'll be doing. So June 13th will be my birthday. I'll be turning 62 years old, and I'm going to spend it in Old Town at the concert series. So come join us next month, June 13th. Have some and say happy birthday to me. So that's that. I did have a good time, and then also I want to let everybody know: get out and vote. It's very important to let your voice be heard. Very important that you go out and vote for who you want to vote for, because your vote does matter, and every vote counts, and it adds up. And you can make a difference by going out and voting for your candidate of choice. So make sure you do get out and vote. This next week is the last week of early voting, and then the day of election is May 19th. Yes, Avuko, I am officially an adult next month at 62. I'll officially be an adult. So yeah, so join us next month when I celebrate my birthday at the concert series. But it is very important that you get out and exercise that right to vote and let your voice be heard. I've said this several times and many times, and I'll say it again. I don't think you really have a right to complain unless you vote, because you complain about the decisions that elected officials make. Unless you get out and exercise that right to vote, I don't really think you have a right to complain. So if you want to have a right to complain, get out and cast your vote. Because once you begin voting and your elected officials don't do what you ask and set out and do their own agenda, you have every right to not be happy with them and every right to replace elected officials. So that's the way I look at it and the way I see it. But yeah, I mean, I think this can be a very interesting election cycle. I'm very excited to see how um, these results come in and the outcome of the upcoming primary. I think it's very important. It'll be very telling to the direction that this community in our state is heading. So get out, cast your ballot so we know what's going on. And you can make a choice. Like here in Rockdale County in Congressional District 13, before David Scott, we had Hank Johnson. Um, we are definitely going to have a new congressman representing us here in Rockdale County and the rest of the 13th district. So get out, cast your vote, because we're going to have a new congressman, and we need to decide who that's going to be. So get out and let your vote matter. Vote for who you want that to be. You want to know my opinion on Doreen's interview? I think it was a very difficult interview. Not for me. I think it was a very difficult interview for her. Um, many of you have reached out to me after that interview, and a lot of you actually felt it was a very difficult interview for her. Again, not for me. Um, I think that this is her third term. She's in her 12th year of serving, and there have been a lot of very unpopular decisions that she's been involved in the last 12 years. And I think they're coming to roost. And I think she could have a very bad day on election day. And I don't think she had a very good interview. To be honest, you guys ask a lot of difficult questions, and we made sure that they came up, and that you did that your questions were put out there, and I don't think she handled them well. But I've been to a lot of the several of the forums this year too, and I don't think she's done well at the forums. But I'll be honest, I made my choice, and I told you guys so I voted for Melissa Mims. But I've really not been impressed with any of the candidates that have ran for that office, because I think we hear too much about having to do research and determine how to vote. Let me be honest with you. I mean, I think if anybody has been in this community for any length of time period, you guys know, we listen to you. I've listened to you. I know exactly what you guys want: tax relief, that you want commission expansion. Um, there are definitely things that that you want. You guys really don't care about expanding parks anymore. I think most of the people in the county believe we have too many parks, and we focus on that too much. It's like feel good fodder. They believe they can do that, gains public support, when I think most of the citizens in the county are, they think we have too many parks. They're tired of hearing about the green space nonsense, and these kind of things. I think you guys are wanting tax relief, but I also think you citizens are a little misguided, just being real with you, about how you get that tax relief. We do have to do business development in this county, and anytime anybody wants to bring a business here, a group of citizens rally against whatever type of business it is. That's just reality, and we've got to understand as a community, if we actually do want property tax relief, we are going to have to bring business to Rockdale County, and there are only certain types of businesses that will come to Rockdale County, and I think we need to know the truth about those businesses and what those businesses uh, actually will and won't do, what harm they do and what harm they don't do. One of the things that could bring tax relief to the county is, I think, an additional data center complex. I intend to, after the election, bring on water engineers, acoustic engineers, electrical engineers. I intend to bring engineers on to actually discuss data centers. And there is going to be a town hall on data centers Tuesday night at 6, but I plan to do on something independently. Bring these experts onto the show, talk about this, and at some point plan on going taking a field trip and going to a data center that has supposedly been built the right way. And I'm going to talk to a land developer on this show that wants to bring a data center here, wants to do a 750-foot offset, have it with vegetation, trees that you wouldn't even know that facility is there. So, I want to bring, people on, let them talk about that kind of thing and see what it could, and then also talk about what possible economic relief could happen. Vuka, you want to know about the Buc-ee's? I have heard from sources that are in the investment world that the Buc-ee's is off the table, and I've actually heard it was because the county blew the deal. Now, if somebody from the county wants to come up and contradict what I've said, they can gladly do that. But my friend Alex McDonald has done open records request, and the county has come back with cited 3 or 4 different things that have said that why they can't release it. One of the things that I've found, if they are no longer in negotiations, then there's then the NDA is no longer valid unless there's some sort of lawsuit that's pending because of the negotiations. So if they're not willing to talk to us about a negotiation that is passed, not ongoing, then that means there must be some sort of legal litigation regarding it. And to use the excuse of executive session, that's also bullcrap. It was only worthy of the privilege of executive session while you were in negotiations and you didn't want those negotiations to be public. But if there are no negotiations and the deal is dead, then executive privilege would no longer cover that. And we also have to remember, it's our property. Your tax dollars, my tax dollars purchased that land that we're talking about over on Sigmund that would be needing developed. Now, let's be honest about this too. So this is another one of those things where the development authority holds the title to that. I am sick and tired of this development authority nonsense in the state of Georgia. I believe development authorities have outlived their usefulness. We need to rid ourselves of development authorities and government entities. The Board of Education, the county, and the city need to do their own negotiation, and those elected officials are the ones that need to be held accountable for economic development and the negotiations. If we want to have some sort of citizens board to help with that, then yes, but that citizens board should not have the ability to independently grant tax abatements or any sort of tax deals on behalf of the government, which is on behalf of you. That should be our elected officials, should be the only officials that have the ability to go into any sort of tax abatement deals. So, and I am not for any additional tax abatements for economic development. That's what I believe. I believe that era is gone, um, and it needs to be something we no longer use anymore. I believe that the elected officials. I do not believe in authorities having the ability to make decisions. It should be elected officials, not authorities. If you want to have these authorities and they do not have decision making abilities, but only advisory abilities, totally on board with that, right? These authorities can have advisory uh, uh, ability, but they do not need to have decision making abilities. We do not need to have bureaucrats who are not held accountable uh, having these decision making abilities. That's my opinion. And Alex actually is on the show and put something up here, and I want to go ahead and put that up here. They also cited documents deemed confidential by the feds and documents related to law enforcement actions, which leads me to believe the feds are looking into this piece of property. So, yeah, we don't know. And let's be honest, the same bureaucrats that are in charge and are the decision makers now are the same bureaucrats that were in charge during the past administration. So even though we changed the head of the snake, we didn't change the snake. That's just reality, right? People may get upset and, oh, Larry, you're not being, you're not being fair, you're not being whatever, being totally fair. I've said this before. When Barack Obama was elected president, he didn't keep George Bush's staff. When Donald Trump was elected the first time, he did not keep Barack Obama's staff. Then when Joe Biden was elected, he did not keep Trump's staff. And then when Trump was reelected, he did not keep the staff of Joe Biden. And same thing for the governor of Georgia. Even though they were from the same political parties, Brian Kemp did not keep Nathan Deal's staff, right? And whoever gets elected as our next governor will not keep Brian Kemp's staff. And that's the way this is supposed to work. When you have the type of government we have, and you have these bureaucrats that are responsible for this policy making, their policy making has to match the ideology of the individuals who hold the office. And if you keep people that are left over and they keep getting to run their ideology over you, and then when a lot of them aren't even residents of this county, then I have an issue with that too. When they get to make major decisions and some of them are not even residents in this county, it's an issue with me. That's just the way I feel and the way I look at it. So what do I think about empowering I think the buck stops with elected officials. And I think elected officials like to use these committees and these authorities to shield themselves. We need to stop letting them shield themselves with these authorities and these commissions, and we need to hold them, elected officials, 100% accountable. If we would hold our elected officials 100% accountable for every action that's taken, a lot of the actions they take will be more, even with the courthouse, they like to blame the PFA. The elected, well, the PFA, and they did it, and we couldn't undo it, and there was nothing we could do. Well, your elected officials are the individuals that created the mechanism of the PFA to bypass you so that they could go around you and do what they wanted to do with this administrative courthouse complex. So when we look at what's going on with that, that was calculated elected officials using an authority or a PFA to actually get what they wanted and then shift the blame off onto the PFA. So we've just got to stop letting that nonsense happen. That's my opinion. So that's the way I feel about it, And then I think that a lot of things will start being washed out in the wash. Here in Rockdale County, I think we'll end up finding out a lot more things as things are being drawn out. I think, I've talked to Alex. Alex is very aggressively going to seek answers uh, regarding the Buc-ee's thing and about the land development. I think, he's told me he's not done with his investigative part of that. He's going to dig into that and try to find some additional information. So, I mean, I think Alex, didn't you? If you can correct me, you've opened record request to the county. You've sent it to the development authority, and maybe somebody else. I think he has sent these ORRs, and he's doesn't think that he's going to get the answers that he deserves or you deserve, because he thinks there'll be a lot of manipulative hiding behind things. That's a good statement that you just made. I'm going to put it up there. They are good at going through the back door, and that's government, right? Government likes to go through the back door. They like to do those things, and that's why we've got to elect people who feel transparency is more important than the position or the title that they hold, because being accountable to you should be the most important thing of our type of government, our representative government. So we have a very type government where we elect people from within our community to represent our will, to represent what our thought is, what our desire is. They run for office, and when you vote for the people who you feel align most likely with you, now that's how you should vote for. You really should get to listen to what this person believes, what they think, and how they would conduct themselves, and then that's who you should cast your vote for. I look at parties as just a horse that you ride in on, like the Kentucky Derby. You can only run in the Kentucky Derby if you've got a mount, and in the state of Georgia, there are only two possible mounts. You either run as a Republican or a Democrat. It depends on where you live at, in which county, district, in which region, as to what horse you have to run on. It doesn't matter what your personal ideology is. It matters about what horse can actually cross the finish line. And in Rockdale County, the Democrat Party is the only horse that can cross the finish line. So if you run in any other party affiliated race other than the Democrat Party, you're not going to finish. You're not going to cross the finish line. That's just reality. So we say we have a two-party system in this country, but with gerrymandering and parties playing up to race and ideology and different things, you don't have a two-party system. It depends on where you live, and it's a one-party system. And it depends on where you live, which party has the juice, right? And that's the reality. And anybody that wants to try to argue differently, good luck. Look at the results. You can go look in anywhere in the state of Georgia and any county, and you look and see whatever party has the most amount of people that vote in that primary. Those are the individuals who are going to get elected that banner. And that's the reality. It's not a two-party system. It's a one-party system that you have multiple candidates that run in that one party. And your most races, 90-some% of all local races in Georgia are determined in the primary election. Go and prove me wrong. Prove me wrong, folks. Prove me wrong. Yeah, the forensic audit, that was never going to happen. You had people run and said they would do that. They did not do that. That thing needs to happen. Did not happen. But it is what it is, right? So we next time in 2 years, you'll have another election, and there'll be a lot of county officials running. So vote for the people who align with you. Vote for somebody who's going to do the things that you want them to do. And if they don't do those things, then when they're up for re-election, then you don't put them back in office. You don't put them back in just because you were comfortable with them, right? I think it's the opposite. We change our elected officials often and as much as we can, and that way, by doing that, we keep them honest. We keep their feet to the fire, especially when they know that if they don't hold up their end of the bargain, you're not going to put them back in office. And then that's what you need to do. Hold their feet to the fire. Here about 30 minutes, probably about 20 minutes longer than I intended to, because I got to ranting and I get passionate about these kind of things because that's who I am, right? I'm a passionate person who believes in the First Amendment and the right to speak your mind, as the title of the show, Speak Your Mind. But I believe that it is your, not only your constitutional right, but I believe it is your God-given right, which is higher than the Constitution, to speak your mind and let your voice be heard. So I want to thank you guys for joining me tonight for this little ranting session. But join me tomorrow night as we have House Representative candidate Brett Mauldin running for House Representative 114, which, like I said, it's basically covers 3/4 of Rockdale County. I mean, circles us. And Brett would be a really good friend to Rockdale County. I know he would. He has a lot of friends that are in Rockdale County. And, and I'm sure Brett's one of those guys. If somebody like me reaches out to Brett and says, we need a little help, Brett would be there to help you. So we're gonna talk to Brett on the show tomorrow night and hear from him. And I think it'll be a good show. Thank you, Cheryl, for the happy Mother's Day out to Beth. And I was gonna close the show by saying Happy Mother's Day to all you mothers out there, and I hope you enjoyed your day. Thank you guys. Thank you for joining me, and I can't wait to see you tomorrow night when we have candidate Brett Mauldin running for House District 114 on the show. Thank you. Good night, and we will see you at 8 p.m.